Hello and welcome to today's video. My name is Peter and I will be showing you how to use an embedded or custom device with the Flutter command line interface. First off, we're going to be having a look at the documentation which can be found on the Flutter GitHub repository using custom embedders with the Flutter command line interface. So this is an experimental feature, so it's not too well polished, so expect some rough edges. So as a prerequisite, you need to have a custom device such as this Texas Instruments development board, and it needs to be running a custom third-party Flutter embedder. There are many of these embedders available online. The first one's called FlutterPy, and there's the Sony embedder, and there's also Toyota IVI home screen or something like that. I'll put the links down in the description. It's important to point out that the image running on this board has been created using Yocto with the Flutter Meter layer. I'll include a link in the description for that as well. And because of that, it's not using the default values the command line interface is configured for. So we'd have to do some tweaking, but I'll show you how to do that, and hopefully you learn something in the process. So, enabling custom devices. First, we need to run this. And now it's enabled. The next step is to add the device. Okay, so now it wants an ID. And now we need to give it the IP address. By the way, if I haven't mentioned, you need to be able to SSH into your custom device. Hostname. Name is a root. Okay, so because we're running FlutterPy, let me just copy this. I think it'll be faster. There we go. Port forwarding. Of course, we want port forwarding screenshots. I don't want to be able to do screenshots at the moment. Like to add, yes. Okay, so now a config file has been created. Depending on the operating system you're running on, this path will differ. But yeah, let's go check it out. Okay, so here we have the file that we just created with the command line interface. And here we have our Flutter application. So as you can see here, the SDK is picking up the board because of the file we just generated, and we're going to go ahead and select it, and then we're going to do run and debug. Oh dear, we've hit a speed bump. So basically what's happening here is FlutterPy is not finding Flutter asset bundle for the application in the correct location. So just to quickly describe to you, this here in the build directory, this is what happens when you do Flutter run. This gets built. Basically all these files need to be copied, or this whole directory needs to be copied to the device and be handed over to FlutterPy so that it can be run. And FlutterPy is not finding it. So let's go have a look at what is going on. So first we SSH into the board, and then we go to the TMP directory, and here we have the test app directory. So let's go here, and there's no data directory here. So basically FlutterPy is expecting it to be inside a data/Flutter assets directory, but it's not. The assets are just inside the directory. So in order to fix that, we can go here to the custom devices.json file and install. So we're using SCP here to install. We can just go here and add the data directory. And then this is a bit of a workaround, so don't shout at me in the comments. But I do have a cheat sheet here. And Flutter does have this file has a option of a post build command, which we can just use to create a directory. Obviously, we have to create this directory, and then we're going to be copying this into here. The reason we have to create it first is because SCP doesn't allow you to create directories while copying, unless you're copying all the directories with it. In our case, Flutter Assets is going to get copied in here. And then we also need to modify the uninstall command in this fashion to just delete all the assets or the asset bundle, everything in there, whenever we want to uninstall. And there we go. So I'm going to go ahead and force Flutter to build again by doing this. And then I can just get the dependencies to ease the build errors. And then it can run again. Now we just got to wait. There it is. So this is the Flutter application in debug mode, of course. And we can press this button and to update. The fun thing is hot reload also works. So let's say we want to make this text. Let's not rather do this one. Let's make this one quite big. And we save and hot reload. There we go. Now we've got a giant counter. Make it even bigger. Nice. That's more like it. And let me show you the widget inspector. This is a neat little tool. It allows you to, when debugging, you can select widgets and it will take you to the tree, show you where the widget is inside the tree. This it also allows you to do things such as change the layout, a little bit play with things, make just for debugging purposes. Change these settings. I don't know if they're going to make much of a difference. This one should. Now, that's it for the day. See you guys again sometime in the future. Goodbye. Totsies.